You know what's harder than convincing your friends where to grab dinner? Finding influencers that are just the right fit for your brand. It's kind of like trying to keep a plant alive or trying to understand a Christopher Nolan movie. See, I get it. Looking for influencers that check all the boxes for your brand can seem to be a huge task. And I know that you're sometimes tempted to just go with the most popular person in your industry and just work with a few of those people, right? But don't fall into that trap. There are creators who'd be a much better fit. I'll tell you exactly how to find them. By the way, I'm Yash. I'm the founder at SARAL, which is the influencer OS used by hundreds of brands. And after speaking with all of those and helping them carve their own niche of creators on social media, I'm going to share how you too can find a unique batch of true fans. Let's begin. Now, before we dive into the nitty-gritties, I want to share a story with you. I know that you're stuck. You want to find more influencers, but make sure that you're finding the right ones. Maybe you're stuck because you're not finding the right influencers in the first place, right? So you want to find more, but before you find more, I want to make sure that you're finding the right ones in the first place. So one of our brands that we were working with was a skincare brand, and we worked with a creator with them, and they posted about it. It was like an organic skincare company, very natural, wellness, sustainability focused, and so on. A minimal skincare was one of their things. So they just had a couple of products that did everything instead of having, 55 products that did one small thing. So they had that philosophy, and we worked with this creator. But 2 weeks later, that exact same creator started promoting a makeup company. Now, you may look at that and think, well, makeup and skincare are different, but they're not really, because that makeup company was not about minimal makeup. It was like excessive makeup on the face, like, it was one of those cases, right? So the influencer displayed a fundamental disconnect with both the brands. Technically, there's nothing wrong with the makeup company. There's nothing wrong with an organic skincare, wellness, sustainability, minimal skincare company either. But what is wrong is when the same person vouches for two brands that are kind of the opposite of each other, right? And we remember that we found this person actually using the hashtag beauty. Now, when you use that hashtag beauty, which may or may not be a core hashtag for skincare, you tend to find creators that are a little bit more broad. So make sure that your core hashtag strategy is nailed down before you proceed with all of the tactics that I'm going to dive into this video, because if it is not, you're going to end up finding all the wrong types of partners, and do things like these are going to happen where the same creator tends to promote, relatively opposite brands. So with that out of the way, let's dive into how you can find more and more creators, especially if you're stuck and you can't think of anything more than your core hashtags. The first way you do that is you go and find your tangential hashtags. Let me tell you how you do that. So the way you find tangential hashtags is you pause, you breathe a little bit, and then you think, what would a related hashtag be that's not about my core hashtag? So let's say, for example, if we stick to the skincare example, the core hashtag would be something like organic skincare, but a tangential hashtag would be something like nighttime routine or morning routine, or even skincare routine can be a tangential hashtag. So think about what is related to my core hashtag. What do people associate with skincare in general? Self-care is a tangential hashtag. So look at all of the wellness is a tangential hashtag. I'm just like, my brain's just working now. So I keep coming up with tangential hashtags. So think about, what do people want? What else do people associate your core hashtag with? And that's your tangential hashtag. The way you would run that search on SARAL is you would just go in here and search for something like, let's say, skincare routine. It should give you some suggestions, and you can use these suggestions to your advantage. Morning skincare routine, natural skincare routine, to dive deeper and deeper into smaller and smaller niches on Instagram, so you can find more specific people for your specific brand. Now, obviously, if you're not a natural skincare product, don't search for natural skincare routine, right? So if that makes sense. So the first step you should do after you've done and you're exhausted with your core hashtags is to find your tangential hashtags. The next step is to look for human hashtags. What do I mean by human hashtags is very simple. You click on some humans that are posting about either your core hashtags or your tangential hashtags, and look at what other uncommon hashtags they're using that only humans would use. So things like, organic skincare or beauty or self-care are still more broad generic hashtags that you can come up with. But what are the actual humans that post about this? What else are they posting about? What are the other hashtags? So for example, I've just opened a couple of profiles here, and I'm just going to randomly go and check what they're posting about. So if you look at their hashtags, you're going to see things like shower routine potentially is a good hashtag. Girly girl is a good hashtag. Things like explore page, I would tend to avoid. Self-care page, self-care style is a good one. Pamper yourself is a good one. And then I would just go and maybe see another post and see what else is here. Looks like similar hashtags: hygiene, shower tips, body care tips. These are things that you can't necessarily come up with yourself. Pamper yourself seems to be a recurring theme here. again pamper yourself. So that, you know, things like self-care, self-love, self-care IG, these are things that you can't come up with yourself. Obviously you can look at the recommendations that come in here. So if you search for, say, self-care, it's going to show you more human hashtags. Like self-care tips is a good one, self-care day is a good one. You won't come up with this yourself, so you have to rely on either the search suggestions in SARAL, or you go into some of these humans who are posting about these hashtags and then look at what else they're posting about. Sunday cleaning, Sunday reset. You wouldn't find these anywhere else. You wouldn't come up with these. So make sure you're using these human hashtags, and you could run the same exact process again. You could go to, say, must have, or you could go to kitchen decor if you're a kitchen decor brand, and then you would look at the hashtags that other people who are posting about kitchen decor. So it's almost like you would end up getting an endless number of influencers if you simply look at what people are posting and finding more and more hashtags that way. So step 1, I said, find your tangential hashtags. Step 2, look at what the people who are posting about your tangential hashtags, what other things are they posting about. Those are your human hashtags. Try searching for those, and that'll be a good unlock for you to find more and more influencers for your brand. The third way to unlock a lot more influencers for your brand is to simply ask for referrals. At this point, you're unlocked, right? You already know the 2 more ways, like tangential and human hashtags. You already have probably at least a dozen or more influencers that are already performing and getting you results. Ask them for referrals. They know their space best. They have at least 5 to 10 friends in their space that are influencers, and they can recommend you to other people. So simply ask for referrals. That's it. That is the third tip. Step 4 is to find expert hashtags. What do I mean by that is think about who the traditional experts in your space are. So for example, if we're talking about the skincare brand, someone like a dermatologist is an expert. If you were a fitness brand, someone like a nutritionist or a gym trainer or a fitness coach or a sports nutritionist. These are your experts in your space, right? So think about who are the experts in my space, who are the people that people traditionally trust, regardless if social media did not exist. Who do people go for advice about the thing that I'm selling? Those are the experts that you should work with. So for example, if I do something like fitness coach, and then it'll give me fitness coach, fitness coaching, fitness coaches, fitness coach online, blah blah blah, fitness coach life. I go in here and it'll give me all the people who are fitness coaches. Obviously you don't need all of them, so you would filter by, say, engagement rate or their follower size or their location and so on. Obviously you'll do this, but thinking about experts hashtags helps you understand exactly the type of experts that you need to align yourself with. So that'll unlock a lot of more influencers for you. So think about expert hashtags. Another tip that I'm going to give you is to start looking for lookalikes. So what do I mean by that? So let's stick to the self-care example, right? In SARAL, and this works on all 3 platforms, but basically what you can do is there is this thing called search intents. So tip number 5 is to use the my customers follow the account search intent. What this does is it helps you find lookalikes of ideal influencers. So for example, let's say Roxana here is a great influencer for us, and she's, let's say, in the self-care space. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy that username. I'm going to come back here, my customers follow Roxy Self-Care, show me the account here, account pops up. What this is doing is it's saying, hey, if my customers follow Roxy Self-Care, who else do they follow, right? So it's gonna show me a batch of similar influencers like Roxana over here. And then I can go in here, I can click on their profiles, and then I can guarantee you that most of them are going to be very similar in terms of vibe, in terms of what they post about, similar to Roxy. So if you see, the vibe is very, very similar. So that's another unlock, right? So you are able to find similar influencers as the ones who, especially if you've already got your influencer program going, and if you're stuck finding more influencers, very likely you already have an influencer program going and you have some of your top performers. Find lookalikes of your top performers. Let SARAL show you more influencers like that person. Work with them, right? The 6th and final way in which you can find more influencers for your brand is to look at your customers. Turn your customers into brand advocates. They are the easiest wins that you can have for your program. So what you should do, especially in SARAL, you can click on the applications tab, build an application form, send it to your customer list, add it to your thank you emails to customers by default, add it to your link in bio on social media, add it to your website footer. You will find that you're going to acquire at least a dozen or so influencers. We've seen this with brands. Some brands get a handful of influencers every week. Some brands get quite a lot of influencers every single week just by having this application form link everywhere on their social media, on their website footer, in their thank you emails, and so on. So the 6th and final unlock for you is to turn your customers into brand advocates. So if you were stuck at the beginning of the video and you were unable to find more influencers, hopefully this video has been helpful in unlocking. Just to recap all the steps. The first one is to find tangential hashtags, find related hashtags to your core hashtags. The next one is to find human hashtags. Look at the people that are posting about your core and tangential hashtags and look at what other common hashtags they're using. Find those human hashtags. The third is to ask for referrals from your community that you've already acquired and are working with. The fourth is to find expert hashtags. So who are the traditional experts in your space that people would look at for advice? Go find those people on social media. The fifth point is to find lookalikes. So if you already have high performing influencers or you have the example of the perfect influencer, plug that into SARAL and it'll give you more and more influencers like that person. And finally, never ever forget to make sure that you're turning your customers into ambassadors as long as they are influential. So from escaping the hamster wheel and turning your loyal customers into ambassadors, we've covered the A to Z of influencer marketing, of finding influencers for your influencer marketing program, right? With all of that said, don't have a bias for volume. Even if you get 100 or 150 influencers to promote you on a consistent basis after a few months of doing this, you're winning. That is like your marketing is solved for with that. Keep that in mind. You always need to find more and more influencers. Make sure that you find at least 50 to 100 people every week. Do this for 3 to 6 months and your marketing will be figured out. If these tips helped you in unlocking more growth and more prospecting for your influencer campaigns, drop a comment below. Let me know if it was useful. If you've yourself found from your experience other tips that help you expand your search, and leave them in the comments below for other people and me to learn from. And then if you like this, leave a like and comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.